Well, hello, my yarny friends. Do you like a mystery? Today we're going to do a mini mystery crochet along, and that's why the picture's all fuzzed out, because I want you to think about what we're going to make today. It's going to be something Halloween-y, something fun, something quick, something easy, and all with medium weight number 4 yarn you probably already have in your yarn stash. Now, if you're like me and you don't really like a mystery, you can go ahead and fast forward to the end of the video, see what it is, and then come back and make it with us. It'll take you maybe 20 minutes at the most to make today's project. And I almost forgot, you can find the complete pattern on my blog. And as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. And also, it's a free Ravelry download. So you can go and download the pattern as well for free. All you need to make our mystery item is a main color. Need about maybe a ½ ounce. A small color, just a tiny bit. And again, I'm using all medium weight number 4 acrylic yarns in all different colors that I have on hand. You're going to need about a handful of stuffing. Some popsicle sticks. And these are just left over from my sugar-free fruity popsicles. And we're going to break those in half. So you're just going to need a ½ of one for each of your projects. All right, you'll need a needle, crochet hook. We're using an H 5mm, and a pair of scissors. That's it. Let's have some fun. Now we're going to start with our main color. I'm using this pretty minty green. Kind of got a blue tint to it, doesn't it? I want you to start with about a 10-inch tail of yarn and then make your slip knot. And now we're going to loosely chain 13 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, you want this to be done loosely. You want to be able to pull it a little bit and have it have some spring to it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then we're going to single crochet in each of those chains across. Now we began in the second chain from the hook, so we're going to have 12 single crochets. Alrighty, so I'm just going to continue stitching 1 single crochet in each of these chains across. All right, so again, like I said, we have 12 single crochets and we're going to chain 1. All right, so that's row 1. We've chained 1. We're going to turn our work, and don't let that long piece of yarn get in your way. It is important that we have that. Now we're going to be stitching in the back loops only, all right? So here you can see where our loops are. The loops that are facing you, those are your front loops. These loops on the back are your back loops. And so we're just going to place, starting in that first stitch, 1 single crochet in each of those back loops only. And you'll know that you're doing it correctly if you see this little ridge forming, and those are the loops that we didn't stitch in. All right, so 1 single crochet in each of our single crochets across, stitching, get in there, in the back loops only. All right, and so you're going to have 12 single crochets stitched in the back loop only, and then we're going to chain 1. Alrighty, now we're ready for row 3. So we've chained 1, we're going to turn our work again, and again we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of our 12 back loops only. Okay? And again, you'll have a ridge on this side, but you'll see right here there'll be an indentation where we stitched in those back loops on the front side. And that's exactly the way we want it to look. And chain 1. All right, so again we have 12 single crochets stitched in the back loops only. And again, you can see where we have this ridge, and then on down here we have that indentation. That's exactly the way we want it to look. Alrighty, now we're ready for row 4. We've chained 1, we're going to turn our work again, and again we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets, again stitching in the back loops only. I told you it's a super simple pattern, and it's also super fun. Here's a little hint. I think I've got a bunch of extra yarn, and I'm going to make a whole bunch of these, and I might just give them away for Halloween. Of course it's Halloween-y. Alrighty. So again, I've stitched 1 single crochet in each of my back loops only, and I'm going to chain 1. And so you can see we're making ridges and indentions working in the back loops only. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to continue to repeat row 3. We've done 4 rows, so I guess we're repeating row 4. And we're going to repeat this for 17 more rows. And that will get you up to row 21. So we want 21 rows of 12 single crochets stitched in the back loops only. Have some fun! We stitched 4 rows, and then we did an additional 17, so that gives us 21 rows. Now a real quick way to count your rows when you're doing single crochets worked in the back loops only is to count by 2s and just count the ridges. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and then one more row is 21. All right, don't cut your yarn yet. We're going to take it and we're going to put it together. We're forming a tube. And now we're going to slip stitch the front and back together. Okay, so we're just going to go through and slip stitch. I do recommend you don't pull too tightly on your slip stitch because you don't want this edge to pull. You want it to stay nice and flat. Oops. There we go. Alrighty. There we go. Nice and stretchy. We want to make sure we go in that last stitch and slip stitch. And I'm going to go ahead and chain 1. All right, and now we're going to cut our yarn, and we're again going to leave a long tail. All right, now we're going to take our needle and we're going to work on the first end. We'll thread that onto our needle, and we're going to go around this edge, going in and out, and try to stay right up at the top, because we're going to gather this closed. Okay, now we're closing up the end. I'm giving it a good hard pull. I'm going to make some loops just to make sure we got her closed. We don't want a hole in the end of whatever it is we're making. All right, what I do is I grab that loop with my thumb, I take the needle off, and I give it a good hard pull, and then I just make a knot. We want to make sure that's not going to come undone. All right, we'll clip that. And now we're going to flip it over. All right, so we're going to flip it to the other side. And that's how it looks right now. The end's closed up. All right, so now what we're going to do is open this just a little. Grab that little ball of stuffing, and it's up to you how much stuffing you want to put in there, how squishy you like it to be. I like him to be quite squishy, so I just put a little bit in there, whatever fits in the palm of my hand. All right, and now we're going to close this up at the top. So we're using this other tail of yarn, and that's why it was important that we had those tails of yarn. All right, I want to try to get to the top of this edge as much as possible. All right, we want to make sure we close that up nice and securely. But before we completely close this hole up, we're going to grab our popsicle stick and bust it in half like I showed you and stick it right in there. And I like to twirl it around so it gets stuck in the stuffing. If you want to put a dab of glue in there, you can. Hot glue or E6000 or fabric glue or something, you can do that, okay? All right, so I think you can pretty much see what we're making now. I'm just going around again because I want to make sure that popsicle stick is staying securely. All right, now we're going to weave that in. And now we're going to just go down in there, swirl it around in some of that stuffing, and bring it to the bottom. Whoops, that didn't work. Guess I better get it better on my needle. I do recommend using a needle that's a little more pointed than some of the blunt ones that we usually use when working our yarns in, because it's easier to get through the stuffing if it has a little bit of a point. All right, we'll cut that off. And I think now you can see what we've made. So the popsicle stick is our pumpkin stem, and we're going to make a leaf and curl to go with it. And I'm doing it in pink because I'm doing non-traditional colors on this pumpkin. All right, so we're going to start again with a long tail. We're going to make a slip knot. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're making the leaf first. So we're going to single crochet in the second, third, and fourth chain. There's our leaf. Now we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to make our curl. So we'll go in the second chain and stitch a single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. Then we'll go to the next chain and stitch a single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. And you can see it's already starting to curl. Single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet, single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. And we'll do it in the last chain. Single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. So now we have our curl. All right, we're going to cut our yarn, leaving a long tail of yarn again. And this is just so we can attach it to the pumpkin. All right, so now we're just going to tie off. All right, so we're going to thread one of the tails of yarn, and we're going to grab our pumpkin, and we're going to go way up here, go around that stem, and then go to the back. All right, and then we're going to grab the other tail of yarn, and we're going to go way up here high, close to the stem, and try to go to the back where we came out with the other one. All right, so that's on the front. All righty, now we're just going to pull that a little bit, make a knot, cut it, and then we'll use the end of our needle to push that inside the pumpkin so it can't be seen. There we go. That didn't go in as far as I wanted it to, but that's okay. And here is our pumpkin. Isn't that cute? Now, I'm also planning a mystery mini crochet along for November and also one in December. And they will also be small little projects like this one. So here are all the fun little pumpkins that I made. Here's a yellow one with a purple leaf and curl. Here's a white one with a yellow leaf and curl. Here's the green one that we made with the pink. Here's our traditional colors, orange and green. And here's our purple one. Now, I didn't put any faces on these. They're all just plain. And you can add some sticky eyes. You can add little spiders or bats. You can add anything that you want to your pumpkins. All right. This one I've got squished down. Maybe I should squish that one down. I just love them. They're so much fun. And I hope that you enjoyed our mini Halloween October crochet along. All right. And I'm looking forward to our next two that we're going to do. Like I said, one in November and one in December.